Masada, the very name conjures images and perhaps even delusions of grandeur. Around 30 BCE, King Herod the Great built the magnificent palace complex and impregnable fortress of Masada atop this nearly inaccessible desert plateau mountain. One of the most impressive features of Masada is Herod's personal winter villa, the extraordinary hanging palace on the northern tip of Masada. The audaciousness of such an undertaking perhaps tells us much about Herod's personality. A visit to Masada once required a long and arduous climb up a steep track carved into the living rock. But now, of course, a modern, state-of-the-art cable car system is available. We join other intrepid travelers from around the world for a trip back into biblical history. The location of Masada is perfectly calculated to catch the breathtaking vistas of the Dead Sea below, as well as catch the refreshing breezes coming from the north. And of course, the location provides a commanding view so that any opposing armies would be seen well in advance, giving opportunity to prepare for their arrival. And of course, the landscape surrounding Masada provides an imposing barrier of its own to the movement of enemy troops. Throughout the Masada archaeological site, the black line shows the distinction between the original structures below and the restored structures above. Walls were originally smoothly plastered because this was a palace as well as a fortress. Interior walls were richly painted, some of which is still visible more than 2 centuries later. The floors were covered in mosaics as fine as any found in Rome herself. A stone archway leads to the lavish palace bathhouses, a complex literally fit for a king. No expense was spared in the building of Masada. Even the most mundane areas were lavishly ornamented. A sophisticated water supply system made life in this arid location possible. Though Herod built on a grand scale, now only the bones of the structures remain to bear witness to this once grandiose palace. Walking along the walls of Herod's palace and fortress, one begins to appreciate the splendor that they once represented. After the death of Herod, the magnificent fortress at Masada was occupied only by a token Roman garrison. During the Jewish revolt against the Romans in 66 AD, a small band of Jewish zealots attacked and overtook the now lightly defended fortress. They brought their families and lived off the vast storehouses of food. Once the Romans put an end to the first Jewish revolt and sacked the city of Jerusalem, Masada became the last pocket of Jewish resistance. The Romans surrounded Masada and built a siege ramp up to the mountaintop using captured Jewish slave laborers. After a lengthy Roman onslaught using siege engines, flaming torches, rock bombardments, and battering rams, the Masada fortress remained in Jewish hands. But not for long. One particularly brutal Roman attack succeeded in breaching the Masada wall. The Romans, seeing that Masada was practically defenseless, decided to wait until dawn and take it over in their own good time. But the Zealots preferred death to slavery. 10 men were chosen by lot as executioners. Members of families lay side by side and were killed. After all the families had been killed, one of the 10 executioners was chosen by lot to kill the other 9, and then he ran himself through with his own sword. The bodies unearthed by the Israelis at Masada were buried with full military honors. Like almost everything in Israel, the meaning of Masada has become a matter of controversy. We cannot help but feel that we leave Masada both educated and somehow enlightened.